what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys of Magic. This is Hunter, Steven, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
Hello, how are you guys?
What's up, nerds?
Welcome back. We are in the vault. That's right. We've already finished the entire main set of Outlaws at Thunder Junction, but we're moving on to the kind of supplemental set that was supposed to be after this set, which is not after, and it's now just thrown into this set. It's called the Big Score. It's everything that they found in the vault, which is part of the story. We'll kind of talk about the story a little bit here in a minute. But before we get started and all the awesome spoilers for today, I want you guys to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, so you're staying up to date with all these videos that we're doing all the time. But let's go ahead and start us off with this first one. It is Simulacrum Synthesizer. It is 2 and a blue for an artifact that says, when it enters the battlefield, scry 2. It also says, whenever another artifact with mana value 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Pretty cool.
Yeah, this card's going in a lot of my decks.
Yeah,
What?
but how many of those do you actually have mana value 3 or greater?
Probably a
lot.
probably a good amount.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not gonna go crazy with Cheerios or other little artifacts like that, but play the big cool things, make bigger, cooler things.
Yeah, and if you have a bunch of treasures, that thing gets enormous.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. It seems like a good card. I think a lot of cards
Like
we're
it a
gonna talk
lot.
about today are good.
Yeah. By the way, like I said, this is kind of the supplemental set. Every single one of these cards in this set for the big score is at mythic rarity.
Right.
So
They're gonna
they
be
should
hard to
be
get.
pretty good. And they're going to be hard to get. That's also true. But starting off with the bangers,
Yeah.
Simulacrum Synthesizer.
Too bad
Gonna
it's
have some
not making
giant.
a sad robot, dude.
That is sad. But I don't know. I like to imagine that guy in the middle of this picture with just that's his giant head. Even though he's getting sucked up into it or getting put down. Is it down or up? Probably
How
down.
can you tell? I don't even know.
I'm going to say it's making them.
Got it.
I
So
mean,
it's down.
yes, because it's creating.
Hmm.
All right, we cracked the code.
On to this next card. It is Legion Extruder. It's 1 and a red for an artifact that says when Legion Extruder enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. Also has another ability we could pay to tap it, sacrifice another artifact, and create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token.
Fun fact: this is the guy that came out of the last one.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
No. They are making different constructs and golems. They're a little different.
A little different. Good card though. Great card.
Really good
Seems
card.
good, yeah.
Yeah, so people are saying this is going to be like the new Bone Crusher Giant type effect. I mean, just to deal 2 damage to anything, and then you can bring a creature later. Kind of the same kind of effect.
Similar.
But, yeah, I think this card is really good. Once again, mythic rarity. We're playing with fire.
Cool art too.
Let's talk
It's great
about
art.
some more loot. By that I mean Loot himself. It is Loot, the key to everything. It is a green, a blue, and a red for a 1/2 legendary creature, Beast Noble. It's got Ward 1, and it says at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of card types among other non-land permanents you control. You may play those cards this turn.
This guy's cool.
This guy is very cool.
Yeah.
People are saying, wow, this looks exactly like League of Legends, sorry, kind of artwork style. And that's because
Similar.
the artist actually works for Riot Games and is like one of the leads on the art.
Well, then that makes sense.
Yeah, but I did mention we were going to talk a little bit about the lore. Let's go to the next picture, which is actually the exact same card. This is Loot, the key to everything. As you can see here, Vraska and Jace. They were the kind of ones that opened up the vault and got in there because there's a whole backstory from today where after the whole war happened, Jace and Vraska actually went back to his homeworld and his mom healed them. And then he had visions and he was Ashiok in Wilds of Eldraine, and then he was the one that hit Proth over the head with the lead pipe. He's been kind of doing this thing where that child, Loot, is literally the key to everything. He wants to kind of close the Omenpath And this child, because he's Fumori, he has the knowledge of the entire map of the universe in his head. And because Jace is a mind reader, he needs this child.
Huh. That's a lot of story, a lot of lore.
There you go. It's the key to everything.
Key to everything except black and white.
True.
Yep.
This would be crazy if it was 5-color, dude. Let me be honest.
It would be pretty crazy. But let's talk about the card itself instead of just the lore
Yeah, I
of
was
the
gonna say
pictures.
you just like
This
lore
card is
dumped.
fantastic.
I think it's great. I think it's gonna be a fun build around, dude. We're gonna brew with this for sure, dude.
Oh yeah. This gets nuts. Like I know the best part is it's other non-land permanents, so it doesn't count itself, unfortunately. But if you have just another card on the field that's a legendary creature, that's 2.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what's the most you could possibly get here?
legendary creature, artifact, enchantment,
Planeswalker battle.
planeswalker, battle,
It's a lot.
land. No, not
Non-land.
land. Not land. 6.
Saga's
good
an
amount.
enchantment, huh? Never mind. Is there another one that's kind of like that? No.
No. I think
Okay.
that's kind of it.
Well, even, I mean, this just hitting for like 2 or 3. Plenty.
Every turn.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah, this is probably gonna be. I know I mentioned it with the other 3-color card that I was like everyone's gonna build around it. What's it called?
Obika.
Obika. Loot is probably gonna be another one of those. I think this is gonna be built around Commander, and of course, we will talk about this when we talk about our Commander grades. But Loot, pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
And I think people have also said that this is Magic's version of Baby Groot. We are going to see him throughout every set.
Oh, he's gonna get bigger.
Maybe.
I mean, I'd rather see him than Kellen.
Ah.
True. Kellen is staying in this world, hanging out with Annie Flash.
All right.
But yeah, Loot, key to everything. Pretty good. On to the next card. It is Lotus Ring. It is 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment. It's got indestructible, and it says equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has vigilance and tap. Sacrifice this creature at 3 mana of any one color and an equip cost of 3.
A lot
Got
of threes.
3s?
Yeah.
Yep. 3
That's
mana,
cute.
equip 3, gets 3/3, and you can sack to add 3. So it's a repeatable Lotus.
Of the black variety, yeah.
Doesn't have
No.
to be black specific.
Yeah, but
Bad
that's,
card, bad.
I guess it could
I don't
be
think it's bad.
Lotus Petal. I mean, if you're putting this on tokens, it's that 3 equip cost that's the killer right there. Because it's going to be so slow. Equip it, then you get to sacrifice it. Get your 3 back. So it's like, what the hell?
You're setting up for a giant turn later, right?
Maybe.
I mean, are you?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I guess
That 3 extra mana next turn.
extra
I
mana.
mean, so what you're telling me is you had 6 mana, because if you're saying 3 extra mana next turn, you paid 3 to get this down, you paid another 3 to equip it. I mean, at that point, like if I have 6 mana, I don't really like. I should be doing more. I don't think this is going to slot into many decks.
Hey, but if we're talking about the Gold Vein Hydra you guys talked about yesterday, put it all into that X cost, baby.
I mean, sure. I kind of see where you're going, but I'm just not very high on this card. I just think that it's extremely slow. I mean, I think we see this kind of like effect in Magic a lot. Obviously, they want to put like the Black Lotus kind of feel into things, and sometimes it works, and this is not one of those times.
Yeah, they're not all bangers.
It could also just be like a very, like, it's slow. But like, if you're missing a color, it's kind of like a filter at that point too. You could dump
I mean,
all of like
sometimes
green.
you don't
then...
even need one of your colors.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, if let's say Hunter was missing red, he could dump all of his green to equip this and then sack it and get some red.
No, he would just win.
That's true.
He doesn't need red.
Deep cuts.
Ooh, that is a deep cut. I like it though, because I won. Moving on to some reprints. This first one, familiar face, Grand Abolisher. It's 2 white mana for a 2/2 creature human cleric. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. This is an all-star in a lot of decks, and
Yes, it
it's
is.
very, very surprising that we're back in standard.
Cool. I like the art a lot on it too.
I mean, I'd love the fact. I might actually play standard now.
Because it was
Yeah,
one card.
Yeah,
All right.
about a $9
I just don't want. I
card.
just
Good
want to do
reprint.
stuff on my turn. I don't want you guys to mess with my stuff, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very cool. This is kind of, I mean, besides the Secret Lair and, I mean, in Commander Masters, I know your boy RKF Shane made his
User.
art, but
I
this is
love
the
that art.
first time we've got new art for Grand Abolisher.
Yeah, it's cool too. I'm a fan of it.
Hmm.
I
There.
mean, dude, my favorite part about this card is all of the sheriff badges on his
Yeah.
chest.
Yeah,
It is like you ain't doing nothing.
Super Sheriff.
he's the Super Sheriff.
I just wanted to say thematically, it was cool that they were saying. I didn't even think about this, but having a Grand Abolisher is kind of protecting if you're trying to like saddle up, because you can just saddle up a creature and then they just kill that creature. But now it's the sheriff's in town. He's not letting that happen.
Exactly. No crimes committed here. Let's move on to another reprint common to standard. It is Rest in Peace, which is 1 and a white for an enchantment that says, when it enters the battlefield, exile all graveyards. And it also says if a card or token would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. You are shutting down all of the Graveyard Matters decks.
True.
It's so good. I love this card so much.
All those cheat decks of throwing Atraxa into the graveyard, gone.
Shane, this just shuts off the free spells are good for graveyards.
Yeah, it kind of does. I think that it would probably be in standard if you're playing like best of 3. It'd be a sideboard piece or maybe just like a 1 or 2 of. Because you don't want to be too crazy in there, because not every deck cares about that. But good card.
I mean, I just feel like every standard deck I've seen online on like YouTube videos has just been like graveyard this, graveyard that. Let me get this out of the graveyard. Let me just. I mean, it's kind of crazy to be honest with you.
You, sir, have not played enough mono, white, and red.
It's true.
No.
I will say though, these 2 cards being reprinted, both upshifted to Mythic.
Well, yeah, like everything in this set, like you said, is mythic. So
Yeah, it's just it's kind of a bummer because some cards, like this card, Rest in Peace, is 90 cents.
Mhm.
If you're getting this instead of something that we've already talked about or something we're about to talk about, you're kind of sad.
yeah, you are kind of bummed.
But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to this next one. It is Worldwalker Helm. It's 2 and a blue for an artifact. It says if you would create 1 or more artifact tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional map token. Also has another ability. You can pay 1 and a blue, tap it, create a token that's a copy of target artifact token you control.
Sounded like you said something before the pay 2 and tap. I didn't. Was it flavor text or something like that?
Wait, you don't like maps, dude?
No.
Maps are great.
That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah. Maps are huge right now. I think I'm all here for the map support, to be honest.
Exploring is pretty good sometimes.
Yeah, and also that Simulacrum Synthesizer and this card go together very well. You're going to be creating copies of those things that you made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy this card. Not big on the map tokens, but I do enjoy this card.
As a blue and an artifact player, Steven, I don't doubt that. So,
The
it seems
art.
like a new staple when it comes to those kind of a caddy manufacturer decks.
Oh yeah, I like the art too. It's very Ixalan.
It is very excellent. Yeah, we're getting everything kind of combined.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to this other artifact. It's called Memory Vessel. 3 and 2 red for an artifact. You can tap it, exile Memory Vessel. Each player exiles the top 7 cards of their library. Until your next turn, players may play cards they exiled this way, and they can't play cards from their hand. Activate only as a sorcery.
I know there's a lot of there's a lot of talk on this card, like, kind of being like memory jar, but I don't know, man. Like this card's wonky to me.
Yeah.
It's
It's
definitely
just
a callback to Memory Jar.
There's just so much upside for your opponents in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually where my mind goes to. I'm not trying to help my opponent. So if they had bad cards in their hand and they're like, oh, cool, now I get to see these top 7, I could play these instead.
Like, I mean, I definitely understand. I think one of the points that was made, which I get, was, if you know your opponent has like their win con in their hand, they can't play that card that turn, obviously. But like, I don't know, man. So they get 7 brand new cards. I mean,
It could all be lands.
sure.
Could
Could all be dinosaurs. Could
It-
be a Geshath trigger.
be. I think it's also maybe for like you're playing against a blue pass deck, you know, and they're like keeping all their blue mana open. You're like, all right, that guy's got counter or something. Maybe he won't draw a counter in the 7 that you give him. Maybe he will. I don't know.
If he's playing
You
a
never
blue
know,
pass
dude.
go,
Yeah, I am not a fan of this one. So, whatever.
Whatever.
Let's move on to another card. It is the Omenpath Journey. 3 and a green enchantment. It says, when it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 5 land cards that have different names. Exile them, then shuffle. It also says at the beginning of your end step, choose a card at random, exiled with Omenpath Journey, and put it onto the battlefield tapped. We have quite the ramp spell here. You get 1 extra land every turn for the next 5 turns.
I love
Not
this
bad.
card so much.
However, if this gets destroyed at any point, you are bummed that you either grabbed your 5 best lands that you wanted to play or just exiled forever.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
I'll take the risk.
all right, take the risk.
The ramp
once
card,
again-
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a ramp card for 4 mana, so it can take that slot of something like. But at the same time, you're not necessarily ramping right away. That's the problem I have with this card.
I mean, you kind of
You
are.
kind of
It's-
are.
It's at the beginning of your end step.
You
So
play
it's
it.
in the same turn.
Yeah. You don't have access to it 'cause it's tapped, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but it gives your opponent the opportunity to blow it up before you get even the first one. So you wasted 4 mana.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
would suck.
sure. So I mean, at that point, it's a 4 mana find 1 land.
Well, not if you don't even
if it
get
makes it
it.
to your end step.
Yeah. That would
waste-
suck. Worst case scenario, you
waste
pay
4
4
mana.
and you get nothing out of this card.
Yeah, that is the absolute floor. The ceiling, you're ramping every turn for the next 5 turns.
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, once again, art is a banger. Pretty cool seeing Jace, Vraska, and good old Loot going on their journey together.
Key to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Except white and black.
Yep.
Speaking of white and black, Steven, good segue. The next card, Pest Control. It is a white and a black. For sorcery that says destroy all non-land permanents with mana value 1 or less. It also has cycling of 2.
This card's nuts, dude.
I really
Card
enjoy
seems
this
really
card.
good. That
Yeah.
almost looks like it's destroying all squirrels.
Hmm.
I mean, how dare these varmints befoul the shining streets of prosperity?
Doesn't get it gets better every time you say it.
It really does. I like.
I mean, this card's just fantastic, man. All non-land permanents, mana value 1 or less, clue tokens, treasures, blood, like the God, for 2 mana.
Your head is spinning, dude, from possibilities.
Yeah,
It
all these
is.
varmints.
Keep spinning your wheels, man. I think this has been printed so that it's setting up Bloomborough because it probably is going to have a lot of tokens and whatnot.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
Printing it first before it comes into standard, and then it's going to destroy a whole bunch of other stuff.
I will acknowledge that I think that cycling 2 though is very important on this card because this could just be a dead draw for you a lot of times. Where like this card can potentially never be a dead draw because at least it just digs you 1 deeper if you don't need it in that situation. So big fan with the versatility.
Yeah, me, Shane, David, we were just playing Magic last night in person, and I finally upgraded my Neali deck. This would destroy me.
It really would, dude. And I was playing Orzhov, dude, so I could have played this card against you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
I mean, it's
don't
in
forget-
really good colors. Sorry, Hunter, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think this is in really good colors for even if you're destroying your own stuff in shops. I mean, there's so many good death triggers and drain effects in this color format. For I'm so high on this card.
I think we all like it. Let's move on. This next card is Esoteric Duplicator. It's 2 and a blue for an artifact clue. It says whenever you sacrifice Esoteric Duplicator or another artifact, you may pay 2. If you do, at the beginning of the next end step, create a token that's a copy of that artifact. You can also pay 2, sacrifice Esoteric Duplicator to draw a card. Now,
Well,
this
tell
card's
us,
nuts.
Hunter.
So there is a really dumb combo in limited. That's right. If you're going to a pre-release or you're playing draft or something like that, you have a chance to open up this card because they're available in play packs as well as anything from that bonus sheet. And what's on that bonus sheet, you might ask? Well, that would be Mindslaver, which says you can sacrifice an artifact, sacrifice Mindslaver to control the player's next turn. Well, if you pay 2 extra, guess what? You can make a copy of that and just loop them out of the game. Pretty
That's
cool.
fun. That's really fun.
Very cool, right?
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Steven?
I think it's gonna be very hard to pull both of those, but if you
Oh, yeah.
do,
Yeah, 2 mythics, definitely, but there is a chance.
It's a non-zero chance. That's true. But I mean, like without that though, is this card good on its own then?
100%. Yeah.
All right. Checking.
I mean, this card's definitely good on its own. I do like the fact that it could just be another artifact instead of just this card. I like the fact that it has its own little sack outlet too. I'm kind of a huge fan of this one, to be honest with you.
There's
Yeah.
also a way to kind of the Cart Clan Ironworks thing where you can sack an artifact and use the 2 that you just sacked with to pay that to bring it back. So anything that you have an E2B with or death triggers, like a sad robot, that's like you just keep looping that over and over. That's pretty cool.
Draw your whole deck.
Mm-hmm.
Something about this
Right.
art though, dude. It reminds me of like the early 2000s computer generated like weird, I don't know. Like am I looking at the music video for Eiffel 65 Blue? What's going on here?
It's a good deep cut, but yeah, it is kind of weird. But I don't know. The card itself, I think, is fantastic. Speaking of duplication or duplicator, this is Molten Duplication. It's 1 and a red for a sorcery that says create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste until end of turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step.
It's pretty good for 2 mana.
It is very good for 2 mana. This is like kind of, I don't know, like the first time it's been this cheap of a ability to do that.
Power creep is real, dude.
There's been so many great copies of tokens in this set. Kind of nuts.
Right? It is pretty nuts. I don't know. It's all about duplicating things, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to continue to talk about it when it's just such a good card.
True. I think this will see play 100%.
Yeah.
Now, is this worth Mythic Rarity?
I mean, super cheap, creating a token of a copy of something.
It's a one-time effect.
With haste.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no.
Has sorcery speed.
No.
It's just because of the
I'd say
big
rare.
score, dude. It's just, you know, not all of them are
Wow.
going to be this banger, but card does effectively do some cool stuff.
You're right. Let's move on to the final card we are talking about today. This is Collector's Cage. It's 1 and a white for an artifact with Hideaway 5. It has another ability that says you can pay 1, tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost.
Free spells never
Super easy to
bad.
do. And a generator just to continuously put counters on things.
Well, we already
Seems
know.
good.
We already know that even, I think it was one of our past videos, he doesn't like having to keep track of different powers and like give creatures different counters. So you're not gonna like this one, right, Steven?
I mean, I think with that card that you're referring to, it was definitely a more mathematical genius, Zach Galifianakis and the Hangover kind of moment.
Okay.
This one for me is definitely a little bit better, just because like I could already have a 1/1 on the field, a 2/2, and a 3/3, and then just pay 1, tap this, and then boom, good.
Okay.
That's true.
This is a little easier for my small brain.
Well, your small brain is a fan of it, as well as my small brain, because
Of course, your small brain loves this.
I'm the
center.
counter guy, dude.
I was gonna say, what?
This is 1 mana to put a counter on anything every time you can tap it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And then you get a free spell. Of course, you love this card.
Yep, I do. But yeah, that is going to do it for us today. If you guys liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And before we wrap things up, let's go around and see what our favorite cards were. We're going to go ahead and start with Shane. Shane, what was your favorite card that we talked about today?
I like the loot, key to everything, man. I think people are gonna have a lot of fun brewing that.
Good card. That is a very, very good card. Steven, I think you're torn between two blue artifacts, if I'm not mistaken, but what's your favorite?
Yeah, I am torn between the two, so that means instead of trying to pick one to be my favorite, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick Omenpath Journey.
Yeah.
That's the green one. Okay. Uh, I think I'm just gonna pick the last one we talked about, Collector's Cage. I think that's a lot of fun. Like I said,
Shocker.
I'm the +1/+1 counter guy normally, and this is a pretty solid include.
Pretty
So,
clutch.
pretty clutch. But comment down below, what was your guys' favorite today? We're always interested to hear what you guys have to say. And while you're down there, check the description for our social media accounts. That is Instagram, that's Twitter, and that's TikTok. At Guys That Magic for each one, especially that Instagram, because we post not only all the rares and mythics you see throughout the entire spoiler season, but we also posted all of the commons and uncommons. We have another day of spoilers tomorrow, which is doing more of these cards from the vault, or the big score, if you would. And then Thursday, that's right, it's Commander Day. We're getting all the deck spoils. We'll talk about some of those cards as well as anything that was most liked on our Instagram. So check it out. On the screen right now, those are all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your added support. It means the world to us. If you guys wanted to see what they are seeing, which is not here on YouTube, check the description as well for our Patreon account and consider subscribing. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
See you later.
Yeehaw, nerds!